Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nebraska Hawks Nest. I'm here with former Iowa basketball guard Mike Gesell. How's it going, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this. That intro video has me hyped up now. I need to go hit the gym or something.
I know, yeah, but that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to set the tone. There we go. We really did have to fit like a Mike Gesell highlight in there, like when you dunked on them at North Carolina or something like that. I have to bring that one in. That'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
that's definitely a favorite moment of mine. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I'm gonna circle around to that in a minute. That's later in the interview. I was gonna ask you about that, but first, I really wanted to ask you about your recruiting process
hmm
out of high school. Yours, I think most recruiting processes I'm pretty fascinated by, but yours in particular was very interesting. Growing up being playing at South Sioux, and kind of noted, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that you were a Husker fan growing up, and a lot of your family, I'm not sure what if they are anymore, but they were pretty big Husker fans. Did you get a lot of pushback and a lot of crap when you committed to Iowa? And were you able to convert family? How was that process? And also, to tell me about your decision process and what all went into that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, you're correct. Grew up a Nebraska fan. If you saw my hometown house in South Sioux, you'd see Cornhusker stuff everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's illegal to live in Nebraska and not cheer for the Huskers, so you better watch
Yeah.
out. But um, no, it's all joking aside. Yeah, we were big Husker fans, but I didn't really, I wanted to do what was best for me, so I didn't um, really let any of that affect my decision. And obviously, my whole family and all my friends and pretty much the whole town of South Sioux, once I committed to Iowa, went out and bought their first Iowa T-shirt, and I hear it all the time. I'm an Iowa fan for the next 4 years. Obviously, my family still is huge Iowa fans for basketball. Anyways, I think they still cheer for Husker football, but no, yeah, I definitely I got a little bit of pushback just from I don't know different people being an in-state kid for Nebraska, but ultimately I didn't really care about any of that stuff. I fell in love with Iowa and the coaching staff there, and I knew it was the right fit for me.
What was it like going through that recruiting process with Nebraska? Because I believe Tim Miles was there, and he had a partner recruiting you, and he's a pretty charismatic guy, really easy to talk to, and I think Stanford was in there pretty hot and heavy, and Stanford would be a really hard program to say no to, with that being such a prestigious academic institution. How difficult was that to say no to those two?
Yeah, and actually it was wow, I'm blanking for a
It was
second. It was
before to
it was
Coach
not
Miles, wasn't it?
Miles. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was
Doc
beforehand.
Sadler. Sorry, I
That's
was
right.
blanking. Doc is an awesome guy. I loved him. Extremely personable. He's every time he came up, he was just super respectful to everyone in my family. I have nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
So I really did consider Nebraska. They were definitely in my top three. Like you said, Stanford was another one. Went out and visited there. Coach Dawkins, being a former point guard, it was really tough to say no to that. They had a great team. They and that campus was unbelievable. So I went out and visited there, and then Iowa. Growing up, not an Iowa fan. It was actually Coach Licklider that offered me the first scholarship. And, to be honest, I wanted to play fast, wanted to play up tempo game. So I really wasn't considering Iowa at that point. And then Coach McCaffrey got the job, and he came out and visited Adam Woodbury and myself. I think one of the first days he got the job, and just let us know that he's honoring the scholarship. He really wanted us, and after getting to know him and his staff that he put together, it really wasn't that tough of a decision. I just fell in love with the school, and then also playing with Adam Woodbury growing up, we made that decision together a little bit. So
Okay.
yeah, it really it just felt right to me. It's hard to put that into words, but when you're making a tough decision like that, and at the time it just feels like the biggest decision you'll ever make. It felt right. Iowa felt like home.
Okay. Well, that's super interesting because that was actually going to be my next question. I know that you and Adam Woodbury were pretty close, and I've had a few short conversations with him over the years. And can you tell us about what your conversations were like? Because he was getting recruited pretty heavily by North Carolina, and I know our big fear as Hawkeye fans, when you guys were both going through that recruiting process, you hear all kinds of stuff. So I'm hearing on one end, Mike Gesell might go to Stanford. Like, he really liked it up there. And then you hear, Woodbury has got a really close relationship with Roy Williams up at North Carolina. Like, he might be going there. Can you tell me a little bit about what your guys' conversations were like, and if you were kind of comparing recruiting stories and what your guys' thought process was?
Yeah, I mean, I played with Adam since I think it was 15, maybe 14 years old in AAU, and obviously being in the same area, played against each other a lot growing up too. We became, really close in the AAU circuit, and Marcus Page was another guy that we were really close with, who went to North Carolina. So I do know it was a tough decision for Adam. Obviously, I said going into it that Iowa was probably my top choice, talking with him, and he had to, I told him, it'd be awesome to play together, but at the same time, I want you to do what you feel is right. And he grew up a big Iowa fan, and he said the same thing. Iowa just felt like home. And once we decided, I mean, we decided probably a few months even before we made it known to all the media, and we were really excited about that. Just the idea of getting to play together for another 4 years.
One time when I talked to Adam years ago, it was when we went to the father-son basketball camp at Iowa. I took my son there, and I was able to meet you there and chat with Adam a little bit. And I thought his story was really just pretty fascinating. That his dad asked him, he said, I know you're having a hard time with this choice. What does your heart tell you? And Adam said, well, I thought about back when that team with Bruner and Horner, when they lost in the first round to Northwestern State after that last second shot. And he goes, like, I got teary eyed, and like it broke my heart. And his dad was like, well, I think that's kind of a telling tale, where your heart is and where you need to be. So I thought that was pretty cool that, Adam was that open about that, and, where his feelings were. And he has had a ton of respect for Coach Williams up at North Carolina. And, Adam committing to Iowa and playing at Iowa over North Carolina, I think was a huge move, a huge growth moment for Iowa basketball, because, so many years have gone by where Roy Williams just picks the best players out of Iowa whenever he wants, and brought him to Kansas, brought him to North Carolina. And it was like, okay, finally we got one. Finally, we beat Roy Williams for one of our own guys. The guy just, but he's such a genuine guy, like Adam said, that, he bonded with Coach Williams immediately. And so that was a pretty cool story. So thanks for sharing that with us. I was gonna ask you too. So you have two siblings that also played college basketball too. Got a lot of good athletes in the family. Who out of the group between you and your brother Tim, who played at Wayne State Division II, and Nicole, who also played at Wayne State, which one of you three you think right now, if you guys were to pick up a ball and go, who's the best athlete in the family right now?
My sister always says she's the best athlete because she has the most state championships. So I don't know. She has us beat there, but no, it's fun because when I go back, my brother is in immaculate shape still. So it's fun getting to, sometimes we go up and play basketball when we're back in town. But no, those two really drove my love for the game of basketball. I grew up at a young age going to their games. I was a water boy for that Wayne State team, and me and Doug McDermott were the two water boys there for a while, and I just grew up to love the game because of them and just wanted to be like them. Because they're, for those of you who don't know, they're each 12, 13 years older than me. So
Yeah.
I grew up just watching and wanting to be exactly like them.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't have had two better examples for people to want to aspire to be as siblings. I knew both your siblings in college fairly well, and I gotta say, at college, for a lot of kids, it can be the peak of your immaturity in life. And I was a late bloomer, I'll tell you. That was probably my peak of immaturity. But Tim was always a really kind, genuine person, and I gotta tell you, like, he seemed to have his crap together a lot more than most other kids our age. So that's what I always say. I'm like, Tim, I was a late bloomer, man. How did you even spend any time around me? Because I would have wanted to wring my neck. I was an idiot back then. So
I'm truly blessed to, your family is one thing you don't have a choice over in life, and I was extremely blessed beyond words to have the parents that I do and the siblings that I do. I can't even tell you how much of an influence they've had in my life. And Tim is like the perfect role model, as you said, and even you see it, and you can just tell through his friendships over the years. Everyone he still stays close to at Wayne State and everything like that. But yeah,
Tim's so loyal to that Wayne State basketball program. He's always been there and always been a support system. And Tim's one of those guys, you meet a handful of people in life where you're like, I just feel lucky to know that person. He's just such a good, genuine person. And your brother Tim's one of those guys, in my opinion. He's always been such a good guy. Transitioning over to, we got to get back to that dunk at North Carolina. I need to know I got a few questions about this. Okay.
Yep.
What was that like, that feeling? Because I've rewatched that a million times, and it was electric going in there and throwing that down. And, we're going to call a spade. Mike Gesell was not a high flyer in college, wasn't throwing it down a ton, but you got up when you needed to. And that was a sick dunk. Tell us about how that felt. And you made that crowd just hush up after that. How did that feel?
Yeah, there's nothing better than going on the road and just silencing the crowd, especially in an arena like that. North Carolina, they rarely lose on their home court, especially in non-conference games. They were one of the best teams in the country when we were playing them, going against Marcus Page, who's still one of my best friends today. I'm be honest, I'm pretty sure I blacked out after that dunk. I was just like, one of those things where there's certain moments in games where like you look back at it and you have to go back and watch film to even remember what happened. You're just so into the zone that you just don't even remember some of it. And that was definitely one of those moments. But just that whole game was so much fun. I grew up a huge Roy Williams fan. Kirk Heinrich, being from the area, always watched him very closely. Played at Kansas for Roy Williams, so I've always just had a ton of respect for Coach Williams, and I've always followed him close. So, really getting to go and beat a team that you grow up watching, a huge fan of, it's an amazing feeling. It was a lot of fun.
I got to tell you, I got a little beef with you on that whole thing. I had went and I got a cup of Crystal Light, and I go to sit down, and all of a sudden, as I sit down, you fly through and dunk the ball, and I go, what? And I knocked the cup on the floor. I was never able to get that stain out of the carpet, Mike. So I'm going to be asking for your address at the end of this, and I'm going to send you a bill. All right.
Makes for a good story. It's brings character to the home.
Oh, and people come over and like, take pride in having a nice clean house. And there's a big red stain on the carpet. And I got that thing professionally cleaned. I did everything I could to it. That Crystal Light stuff is like red wine. It's not coming out. And I'd be like, that's my Mike Gesell stain when he dunked against North Carolina. I kicked my coffee table over and jumped out of my chair, and the Crystal Light went all over the floor. And I was like, I'll worry about that after the game. Like, we're putting it to North Carolina.
I love it. It could have been a lot worse. So you could have been kicking it over because you were mad. So
yeah, I've had, as a Hawkeye fan and just sports in general, I've had those moments as well. So yeah. So you'll be getting a bill. So you'll be looking in the mail, Mike. One question I wanted to ask you is, when you played at Iowa, who was the toughest player that you ever had to go against in a game where you were just like, this guy's unbelievable? Like, I don't know if I could guard this guy. And you really just had to push your game to the next level just to stay with him.
There's quite a few of those. One that really sticks out to me was my freshman year, having to go against Trey Burke at Michigan. I think one of the reasons was, he was one of the best players in the country. I can't remember. He may have won Player of the Year that year. But not only that, he played in a Michigan offense that they run about 15 million ball screens of possession and are extremely spread out. And I was a young freshman, didn't even know how to guard a ball screen correctly yet. And man, that was a nightmare, having to guard him. But there's a few of those. I could throw out. Yogi Ferrell was one. Guys like him who had the green light. You never know what they're gonna do. He had the full confidence in his coaches, and he could take 30 shots a game. It's a guy that it's just extremely hard to guard. And not only that, they're one of the fastest players in the country. But those are two that really stick out in my mind.
Well, that's pretty interesting. As a teammate, who would be one guy that you would say that was the most dedicated, probably maybe the best player that you ever got the chance to play with, that you really just admired their work ethic and their dedication to becoming a better player every day?
Yeah, I think best work ethic. If you're talking strictly work ethic, I'd say Adam Woodbury. He's a guy that he's the guy that you absolutely hate to go against, but you love when he's on your team. And in my 4 years at Iowa, there wasn't a single day where he took a day of practice off. He rarely missed a game. There's times where he sprained his ankle and couldn't even barely walk, and still played in the game. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever been around. But I was on some very good teams at Iowa, and there's so many guys I could name when I just talk about some of the best hardworking guys. Aaron White, Jared Utoff, Anthony Clemens, one of my fellow point guards. It could go down the list. I think that's one of the reasons we were so successful, is we had a group of guys that just loved the game of basketball, loved to just work their tails off, and we pushed each other to get better. And that's why I think we had the success that we did.
Your class is going to always be looked at and known as that one or one of the major classes that turned the tide for Iowa basketball. Things really went down quite a bit during the Coach Licklider era. And when Fran took over, he had to dig us out of a pretty deep hole. And, your class was definitely really responsible for turning everything around and putting Iowa basketball back on the map. So, that's got to be a pretty good feeling, knowing that you played such a huge part in that.
Yeah, when Coach McCaffrey got the job, he came and talked to us, I remember, and he's just like, you see this Iowa program and how much history there is and how good they've been in the past. And he said, you guys have a chance to be a part of this and bring back that history. And, at the time when you're going through it, you don't necessarily feel that way. You don't feel like, I'm helping turn a program around or anything like that. But after you're done and have time to sit back and kind of reflect on it, I think we did have a huge part in that, and just helping turn that program around. And And now you see the success that they're having this year as well. And it's just, so much fun to watch, and have so much respect for Coach McCaffrey and that coaching staff. They do a tremendous job, and it's fun to be a part of it. It is.
What are your thoughts on the current team right now and the success that they're having? They hit a little bit of a rough patch, but that happens with every team. They lost 4 out of their last 5, and just was able to pick up a pretty strong win against Rutgers. And getting CJ Frederick back in the lineup definitely made a big difference for them. What are your thoughts on the team this season, and what do you feel like their possibilities are?
I think they're a tremendous team. They have the experience. They have the pieces. I truly think it's a team that has potential to make the Final Four. The tournament, a lot of it comes down to matchups and who's playing well on what night. But if you're looking at on paper and the tools and pieces they have, I think they have that. I said before the season, just looking at the Big Ten, that I'd be okay with a top 4 finish in the Big Ten. It's just unbelievable how tough it is. In my 4 years there, the Big Ten was always one of the best conferences in the country, but this year it's like there's no nights off. It's unbelievable. And I was just talking to Coach Taylor on Wednesday, and I said, Coach, you could play well and go on a 4-game losing streak. I think the team would admit they haven't been playing their best basketball these last few games, but the Big Ten, you're bound to lose a few and go on a little losing streak. It's how you respond with that. And I just I think that by the time March comes around, they'll be playing their best basketball at that point. But no, I think they have the tools to make a run in that tournament.
Okay. Well, I do too. So it's great to hear your perspective, the guy that was part of the program, though, to see how you feel about that. This is one question that I'll probably get killed if I don't ask you, so I have to ask it. Being somebody that played for Coach McCaffrey, no matter how good of a coach or player you are, you're going to get criticism, especially at the Division I level. It happens to everybody. And the number one criticism that Coach McCaffrey gets is sometimes it seems like his team doesn't play defense to the level that they probably should. What are your thoughts when you were in the program? How hard did you guys work on defense? How much of an emphasis was made on that? And what are your thoughts on a little bit of public criticism from fans that from their outside perspective doesn't always look like the team plays as sound defense as they should?
We work on defense every single day. Coach McCaffrey is a coach that wants to play fast, wants to put up a lot of points, but that doesn't mean he neglects the defensive side. We worked on it a ton. And, when you're a team that's that high-powered offensively, you're bound to give up a lot of points. You can't score 80-plus a game and only give up 50-plus a game. It's just not going to happen. There's more possessions in the game. You're playing fast. Guys get tired at times. You're going to give up easy buckets. But, I think with the way the team scores the ball, it's hard for other teams to keep up. And, it doesn't mean they're a bad defensive team because they give up a lot of points. I think, in this losing streak, you did see there's just few times in games where they make some plays on the defensive end you shouldn't, but they all know that. They're all watching the film. They'll get it turned around, and I think it's defense is something we were working on every single day.
Yeah. Well, that's a great perspective, and just as fans too, we only see what happens on game day, and we don't have the depth of knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes, and what type of things are being worked on too. So, like we said, Coach McCaffrey has been an amazing coach for the program, and one of the best coaches in Iowa basketball history. So no matter how good of a coach or player you are, everybody's going to have one thing where they're like, okay, like, why aren't you doing this better? It just comes with the territory of being, a Division I coach or a Division I player.
Transitioning.
I think
sorry, I'll add too, I think if he was a defensive juggernaut, all they cared about was only giving up 50 points a game, they'd only be scoring 60, and I think he'd be getting the slack on the other end too. So there's always something, but no, I that's something that they work a lot on, and guys take pride in that too.
Well, that's good. That's good for other people to hear too. So, you figured that's the case. Like, okay, Coach McCaffrey's not just skipping defense and practice. I
wish.
Yeah, that's not the fun part of practice. Like, that's the last part. Other than conditioning, like working on defense, like I hated that. I just wanted to get down and ball and play some offense. So, I wanted to ask you how your transition was after leaving Iowa. What were your options? What were you looking at doing? And I know there was some different opportunities out there for you, and you ended up playing a year of basketball in Denmark. So tell us a little bit about the decision process of where to play and what it was like when you were over there playing.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to play professional basketball. I had no idea how long or anything like that. Obviously, the first goal was to hopefully have a chance at the NBA, and that just didn't really pan out like I thought maybe there was a chance there, and decided to go the overseas route. And lived in Denmark for a year, got to play some awesome basketball. We were in two different leagues. So we were in the Denmark League, the Danish League, and then also FIBA Champions League, similar to like soccer, if anyone's familiar with European soccer. But we'd play teams from all different countries. It was an amazing experience. Got to see so many different countries. Got to even play against Devin Marble, which was fun. He was playing in Greece, and got to play against him. Amazing experience. I didn't love living overseas. I'm kind of a homebody. Love the Midwest. Don't love being that far away from family. And to be honest, I just didn't see myself playing more than 3 or 4 years and going that route. And so after that first year, I kind of took all summer to just think about it, reflect, what's my next choice? What's my next move? And, I had I think 3 or 4 offers to go overseas, different places. None that I was just like really excited about. I had a few G League opportunities, and I was also pursuing, the next steps. I wanted to be a financial advisor. I knew that in college, so I was also pursuing opportunities there as well. Really covering everything, and the right opportunity, what I felt like, came into play. Doing financial advising, and I decided it was time.
All right. Well, so from what I hear and what I see online, you can help me achieve my financial goals. So can you tell everybody about where you're working right now, and a little bit about family life? You're married, and I believe have a little one now.
Yep. I live in Bettendorf. I'm a financial advisor. Been doing that about 3 years now. Love it. I have a wife and a son that's just turned 2 in December. So yeah, just living the dream, living the dad life. But no, I love the area here. It's nice and close to Iowa City. So on a normal year, we make it up to almost every home game and in practices too. But this year I haven't been able to with COVID. But now the staff at Iowa is awesome, and it's almost the same staff that was there when I was there. Actually, it is the same staff. So, I could text those guys anytime. Their offices are open. If I had a meeting in Iowa City and wanted to swing over to the basketball offices, I could show up unannounced, and they'd be happy. So it's fun to be close there and be close to the team still.
That's cool that you have such a close relationship with the staff, and that makes you just so much more invested in the program. When you're watching the games, you're still a part of it, and you still got that tugging on those heartstrings when they play. You see a little bit of part in yourself every time they play, because a big part of where we're at is because of guys like you, guys like Woody, McCabe, Devin Marble, guys that came in and really helped turn the program in the right direction. So, and we were talking about just for a little bit earlier before we got on the interview about there's a new business venture in the family. It's going to be coming to Fremont, Nebraska. It's Nebraska Hawk's Nest. We probably need to mention this.
Yeah, Fremont, Nebraska. My brother Tim is opening a brewery called the 505. Isn't open quite yet. Things got a little bit delayed with COVID, but it should be open about any time. So look out for it, especially if you're in the Fremont or Omaha area. Should be awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Fremont's an underrated town. I really like Fremont. I think Fremont has a lot to offer. It's a cool place. So
Fremont's great. My parents have moved to a lake out there now, and so find myself in the area quite a bit over the summer. So,
all right. Well, hey, when you go out there to go to the brewery, make sure to let us know. I'd love to come out and have a beer with you, and got to check out Tim's new brewery. That's pretty cool that he's doing that. So.
Definitely have to check it out, and Tim, I know Tim would be excited to see you too.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. One thing I could talk to you forever, but I want to ask you one question to kind of take off. I know you got work to do today. Coaching. Have you ever thought, you're always such a smart basketball player and had a high basketball IQ, a very well-spoken guy. Have you ever thought about ever getting into the coaching game, or is that something that you just don't feel like is a fit?
I thought about it. I don't think college coaching's for me. I don't necessarily think high school coaching is as well. I definitely want to coach my son growing up and any future kids if I'm able to, but I love my job now too. It's one of my passions as well. So I could see coaching being like a for fun side gig, but I don't ever see it being full-time job. I also love the workouts side of it and the individual stuff. That was one of my favorite parts about playing basketball was, getting in the gym by yourself or with a small group and just working on your craft and getting better. And so, that's something too that I like to do. I do that for fun on the side, just working with a few kids for fun. So, yeah, right. But basketball's in my blood. I'll always be a part of it. I just don't necessarily see it as my full-time job at any point.
Well, you've always been a little bit of a gym rat. And I remember when I'm in college and, we're at Wayne State, I was the student manager for the basketball team, and we're riding to University of Northern Iowa to play Coach McDermott when he was there. And I look over and there's this little guy, little Mike Gesell, holding a basketball, riding on the bus with us. And I'm like, I've told multiple people, I never thought in a million years, like Mike would be starting for the Hawkeyes. And I'm like, this little nice kid on the bus, and your dad quite a bit, and such a friendly guy, such a great family. And like you said before, you are blessed and you are very, very lucky. And it's great to see you have success. It's great to see your whole family do well, and wish you and your family nothing but the best. And thanks for taking time to join us with your busy financial advisor schedule that you have on there. Man.
No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think, anything in life, if you're going to be good at it, you have to have a passion for and really work at it, no matter what it is, whether it's financial advising, whether it's sports, whether it's, broadcasting, podcast, anything. You have to have a passion. And I truly believe the only reason I was as good at basketball as I was, because like you said, had a basketball in my hand since I was little, and not only that, I just grew a passion for it. I loved it. Still love it to this day, even though it's not my job anymore. So yeah, it's basketball is definitely in my blood. But no, I really appreciate those kind words. And it's refreshing to talk to more Iowa fans in the state of Nebraska too. But no,
there's a few of us out here.
I love it. Yep.
All right. Well, just to say, before we send you off, we got to say, living in the Quad Cities, I lived there for a little while. We talked a little bit about Happy Joe's Taco Pizza. Is that and Whitey's ice cream? Is that the two best Quad City things that you've had since you've lived there?
Yeah, the Whitey's for sure. I have a sweet tooth, definitely, and I'm trying my hardest to fight off that dad bod, but Whitey's isn't making it easy.
It'll creep
we
up
go
on
there.
you.
We go there too much. If you're ever in the Quad Cities, Whitey's is the number one place you need to go, and then Happy Joe's Taco Pizza. It's a staple of the Quad Cities as well. But yeah, there's lots of good food around here for sure.
I'm not even an ice cream guy, and like when I lived there, I'm like, I'm gonna catch the diabetes if I keep going to this Whitey's all the time. That place is like, I've never had ice cream like that in my life. I don't know what they're doing there, but I can't believe that it's like not nationwide. It's the best ice cream I've ever had.
It's depressing looking at my bank statement every month and realizing how fat I actually am and how often we go there.
You know what? If they're smart, they'll hire you as their spokesperson. You know, that's an endorsement deal waiting to happen. Yeah, then they're going to give you free ice cream, and there's going to be real problems ahead after that. So, all right, Mike. Hey, thank you so much for taking time again, and we really appreciate it. And again, we wish you nothing but the best in your career and with your family. That you guys stay happy, healthy, and go Hawks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Go Hawks for sure. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right, Mike. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for joining us.
Sounds good.